Thank you, Acting President. There's a theme in this year's policy address which many have missed, which is the theme of choice. And it is immediately apparent in the very first words of the policy address, which I quote, "Democratic development and economic progress in Hong Kong present a host of opportunities, and there are choices we have to make. On constitutional development, we have to choose between implementing universal suffrage and a standstill. On the economy, we have to choose between progress and stagnation. On the people's livelihood, we have to choose between reforms or clinging to the status quo." Acting President, today we are speaking on the economy. So I would like to address the supposed choices which the administration has laid before the Hong Kong people on the question of economy, progress or stagnation. Is it really that simple, or is the government presenting false choices for the Hong Kong people? Instead of this made-up choice between progress and stagnation on economic development, the fact is the Hong Kong people do have a real choice to make on the question of economic development. And the choice is this: between developing the economy for the sole purpose of gaining a higher GDP growth, or developing a sustainable economy where one would have ample and genuine opportunities for our young people and a sustainable future for Hong Kong where young people can pursue their dreams. The idea that by growing our economy and making the pie bigger, 整大呢個餅, economic benefits obtained by businesses and upper income levels would eventually trickle down to the benefit of poorer members of the society has long been dismissed in the rest of the world as nothing but a myth. Trickle-down economics do not work. On the contrary, there is now evidence that the opposite is in fact true, that making the pie bigger only results in the rich getting richer and the poor becoming poorer. Reading the book by Thomas Piketty, Capital in the 21st Century, which has caused a firestorm in the rest of the world, it is a book that is barely mentioned in this council. The central tenet of Piketty's theory is a surprisingly simple one, which is this: in most contemporary market economies, the rate of return on capital, R, frequently outstrips the overall growth rate of the economy, G. Relying on statistical analysis of decades of tax data, Piketty concludes that R is greater than G. In layman terms, it means that the rate of return on financial investment, which is obtainable only by those rich enough to have put in a substantial portion of his wealth in stocks or other investments like real estate, almost always beat out the rate of increase in wages earned by the rest of the population. This is in fact something that I believe most Hong Kong people are too aware of, those with property and those without property. The implications of this wealth gap between the rates of return enjoyed by employers and employees are immense, and the evidence in Hong Kong is all too clear. This means that if we let market forces to take absolute control without any checks and balances, as we have always prided ourselves as being the freest economy in the world, the result is that those who own capital, especially those who own real estate, would become more and more dominant over those who do not. This creates a sharp division in society between those who have capital and those who do not. Piketty called this the central contradiction of capitalism. In Hong Kong, we know this as 深層次矛盾. So, Acting President, what should we do about this, the real choice facing the Hong Kong people on the question of economy? First of all, we must be more vocal about our opposition to crony capitalism. Just last year, The Economist magazine came out with a crony capitalism index, and not only does Hong Kong rank #1 in the world, it beats Russia, who's #2 on the list by a mile, with 58% of the billionaire wealth being derived from rent-seeking industries as compared to Russia's 18%. What this means is that more than anywhere else in the world, Hong Kong's economy is dominated by what we call rent seekers, who make their fortune by forming cartels and lobbying the government for rules that protect their monopolies. This is bad not just for consumers, who are faced with very few choices when they're looking to extend the phone contracts or when they're shopping for groceries in a supermarket. The web of monopolies also adds to the price of doing business in Hong Kong. Young people who are looking to start their own business, who wants to become the next generation of entrepreneurs, can only dream of starting their own business, which are clearly out of their reach. What are we doing for the next generation of entrepreneurs in Hong Kong? Free enterprise, the spirit of free enterprise, has always been something that we're proud of. But what are we doing to the next generation of entrepreneurs? When you look at the example of Hong Kong TV and the spirit of Ricky Wong in trying to start his own business, of course, he is a man with capital. Young people will think to themselves, how on earth am I supposed to start a business in Hong Kong if someone like Ricky could not even get the license that he deserves? And there's a lot of talk about information technology and indeed the setting up of the Information Technology Bureau. But when you look at success stories like Mark Zuckerberg, who's 26, or the founder of Groupon, Andrew Mason, what hope do the young people in Hong Kong have in starting similar businesses when the wealth gap, as mentioned, and the index on crony capitalism is so high? What dreams and what sort of opportunities are we presenting for the young people and the next generation of entrepreneurs? As we noted in the Economist article, this council did finally pass the competition law 3 years ago. I understand that the Competition Commission and the Competition Tribunal are also at the final stages for the preparation of the guidelines, which will come into operation in the coming months. And I congratulate the chairlady of the Commission, Ms. Anna Wu, in completing the initial stages for the putting together a very competent team at the Commission. And I also congratulate the judiciary in putting 2 highly competent judges in presiding over the Competition Tribunal. It is hoped that this will be the first step for Hong Kong towards building a healthier, a more sustainable economy with a genuine competition to the benefit of entrepreneurs and consumers and young people who would like to start their businesses one day. It is clear that the choice facing the Hong Kong people on the question of economy is clearly that of a sustainable economy with genuine competition, which is the only way in which we could guarantee success for Hong Kong in the 21st century. Thank you, Acting President.